Welcome to the WellPlayed DLC podcast, Australia's juiciest gaming podcast. I am Zach Jackson, and joining me is Adam Ryan,
Hello, I'm here.
James Wood,
Howdy, gamers.
Ash Whaling,
Oh, what up?
and once again, our favourite friend and special guest, Ralph Panabiaco.
Wow, that was not accurate at all. But it was a
Oh,
good try.
damn.
I mean, you got
Damn.
the first half right.
I
I
forgot.
feel like you're from Melbourne. You should be able to pronounce Italian names. Okay, you got no
Give it to me.
excuse.
Give it to me. The
Panna Bianco.
Bianco. What did I say? Bianco.
I have no
Shit.
idea what you said to me.
You
honest.
got
You just
halfway
rolled
through
back
it and then
the tape.
gave
You
up.
did, and you
That's what
lost your
happened.
nerve halfway through it. You really did.
Sorry.
So-
My
You
apologies.
led
With such confidence, and then it just dropped off. It's
Well,
right.
You should have
been a
just
while.
coughed in the middle of it. That would have been smoother.
Panna-
Ralph,
yeah. Yeah, that's it.
like I tried, and that's all that we can.
You did. But it's good to be here. Nice to see everyone. It's always a pleasure stopping by the WellPlayed podcast. We always have fun. So, yeah, sorry it's been a while, but
That's all right.
hasn't been
Good to
too
meet
much
you.
to talk about this year, though, right? It's been like,
No.
I don't know, it's been a bit more
No.
chill this
Uneventful.
year than last year. Let's put it that way, right? There's always stuff to talk about, but 2024, pretty chill year.
I mean,
Mm.
2024 feels like you could just have like a slug podcast where you just record the same thing and just sort of add in parts later, like a Mad Lib. We were like, oh yeah, so in this week's news, X company dropped this many staff in layoffs,
Yes,
and then just
yes.
sort of repeat that week to week.
You're basically describing my new show. So, yeah, like, absolutely. 100%.
All right, before we get stuck into it, Ralph, you mentioned that there was a little bit of a shout out that you wanted to give to
yes.
one of your big fans.
I just want to say a very special shout out to my very dear friend who I haven't yet met yet. But if we did meet, I'm sure we'd be best buds. Nick, mate, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. Just do you guys work together?
We do.
Do people know where you work? By the way, is that a secret?
Oh, I was gonna say,
Maybe let's,
Okay, let's
um,
keep it a
mention
secret.
war.
Let's
with
just
the
keep it a
recent news
secret.
cycle,
I
let's
know
just
where
keep it-
you work, and you provide an important service, and I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna put it that way.
I know that you know that I know,
That's
Nick.
right.
You
So
know,
thank you,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Nick. You're
vaguely
fantastic.
threatening having the famous gamer say, "I know where you work."
That's right.
That's fine.
Exactly.
We love that. Thank you very much. All right, cool. Let's get stuck straight into it because we've got heaps to talk about. Ralph, you and I have a little bit of a thing to discuss with a video that you made me watch. You sat me down and said, watch this.
What
Let's
was
talk.
that one? Oh, yeah, sure. That's fun. That's gonna be great to talk about that. Absolutely, for sure.
All right, but first, let's get stuck into what everyone's been playing. If there's anything good that they want to talk about before the content, because there's heaps of content to talk about. Anyone played anything for funsies? Adam.
Oh, hi, Adam from WellPlayed. I played through Nobody Wants to Die.
Oh,
And-
cool.
Ah,
Yeah,
I
I
wanna know more
enjoyed it.
about that.
I've started
Yeah,
it.
the good doctor reviewed it for us. I think he gave it a 7 or a 7.5, and
Maybe a
I
7?
largely, yeah, I think a 7. I largely agree with what he said. The vibes are very much there. The whole noir cyberpunk feel is great, but it does hold your hand the entire time. It's like it's more or less a glorified walking sim. There's like all these cool detective gadgets, but it tells you when to use them, how to use them, and where to use them. So you don't feel like a detective at all. And the story, I could not tell you what the fuck happened. Like it ends, and I went, oh,
Wait,
yeah.
wait,
That
was it-
seems
was
like
it a-
it'd be an important part of that game, though, right? Like that
But
seems like
the way that you get there is so fucking cool, though. Like you're this really
Right.
gruff, like typical noir detective with the gravelly voice, and he used to be a baseball star before his old body gave up on him, and he had to be transplanted into a new body. Da 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 da.
Oh Jesus!
Everything around it is so cool, but it does get towards the end, and I have no fucking clue what happened. But
Hmm.
I enjoyed the ride. I
Hmm.
look forward to potentially a sequel where they maybe jazz it up a little bit and give you a bit more agency. Fingers
What are
crossed.
they going to
Yeah,
call
very
the
cool.
sequel? Somebody Wants to Die.
A few
Well,
people
actually,
in
that'd be
society may
pretty
not
cool.
want to live forever. It's a long title, but it's an accurate one.
Nobody Wants to Die 2.
No,
but
very
it's
cool.
TOO.
Ugh.
Is this
That's weak.
like
That's
a
weak. That's weak.
pure noir futuristic baseball player, or is it just like regular sports in this?
No, man,
world?
stick in a bowl.
Okay, excellent, good stuff.
Stick, bowl, diamond, hit the thing, Babe Ruth, call your shots, you slide into bases. I don't know. I don't know much about baseball.
You're running
Hot
out of
dogs.
baseball terms. I can
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You're running out of
Very
them.
Oh,
rapidly
get
went
hot
through
dogs.
that.
Like, yeah. No, I saw footage of that game. It looks really impressive visually, and I was
Yeah,
very
it's
much
gorgeous.
I was like, damn, man, that's got a vibe to it. And I wondered if it was more than just vibes. It doesn't sound like it's more than just vibes. It just sounds like vibe
It's
simulator.
80% vibes.
Okay, cool.
But,
But that's like
I mean,
enough sometimes.
It's a vibe
It's like
railway.
6 hours long. So
Yeah.
I played it over the course of a weekend when I had nothing else on. So it's exactly what I needed at that point in time. It's also like $25, I think. So it hit the spot for me. But
yeah,
it screams, please give this game a sequel. Very, very much.
Okay.
I thought the start was really cool, and how when you're in that first location, and then I guess the story kind of expands a bit, and then, but I found the gameplay a bit hand-holdy. But like by the end of that first sequence, that what's the word? Like the reconstructor, where you have to push the buttons to get to it. I was like, I'm fucking already sick of doing this. Like, what is the point of it? Just push the button.
Yeah, pretty much. It does some really cool shit.
Oh, all right.
Oh, it's gone.
It's very cool because you can kind of manipulate time. But yeah, I don't know.
The Tasmania internet just let you down, Adam. You just had a perfect freeze of like, it just sort of...
Good. I'm on dial-up. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Finest Tasmanian offering you can get.
All right, anybody
Yeah,
else?
that's me.
Playing some Destiny. Anyone heard of that game?
Oh,
Yeah,
I've heard about it a lot.
Is anyone else playing Destiny? Is anyone else who played Destiny? Question mark.
I have played
Yes.
it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Is anyone playing it right now?
No.
No,
Me and a friend are working through Lightfall very slowly, but that's about it.
Lightfall. Wow.
Yeah, I
Slowly.
know.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Dude, that
I know.
campaign's like 4 hours long. And it was released last year. What are you doing? Like,
I'm
what
playing
the
things that
hell?
aren't Destiny. Anyway, tell us about whatever you're doing in Destiny.
Well, I'm playing it, but I mean, it's such a bummer. I don't know if you guys are. Is this like on the agenda to talk about Bungie stuff, by the way? Or is
It
this
is.
like, oh, okay, right. Well,
Scrolling down.
we can talk about it later, but yeah, Bungie, it's sad. And it definitely impacts your enjoyment of a game like this, because so much of what these games are is about the promise of what they will be in future.
Yep.
And you know, it's just, with that not being what it is, there's a vibe when you log in. You're like, oh, what am I doing this for again? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a weird feeling, which you don't feel when you play like World of Warcraft, for example, or fucking Diablo these days, or whatever, because you know they have like these big futures ahead of them. It's not the same. But anyway, we'll talk about it later, I suppose, when we get to the Bungie block.
Did you know that this
excited.
website started because of Destiny? Like, that's why this website started?
I remember you told me that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
right.
yeah,
Just like
yeah.
my entire YouTube channel started because of the Division. So
That's right, yes.
we're not so different, you and I.
I mean,
That's right. But that's how it is. You cut your teeth. Anyone who's listening on YouTube out there wants to be a YouTuber, do this. Find a big game, right? It's coming out. Cover it really well early in its life cycle. Like, cut your teeth on how to make content, and for the first 18 months on that game. At that point,
Concord.
No. Stop the presses.
Wait.
Stop everything.
Brutal.
We tried.
Absolutely brutal. Sony, are you listening? Are you listening to this? Look at the slander that WellPlayed has laid at your feet. Come on now.
We tried doing this with the day before. We put the whole fucking engine behind the day before.
Absolutely. What could it's so unfair, isn't it?
Right?
I just want to go on record that while your strategy is a fantastic and tried and true one, I have done it 3 times in my life, and every one of those games fucking imploded. It's like the kiss of death. If I start producing content and caring about something, it will die.
That's right.
Spectacular.
You're like, Anthem, man, I got a good feeling about this one. Up. Didn't work out. Don't worry. Redfall. I'm really excited about Redfall, man. I feel like it's got a big future ahead of it, you know?
Big shout out to WildStar, wherever you are. You
WildStar.
deserve better.
Dude, that's serious. That's serious OG shit, though, WildStar. Much respect.
I tried, man. I tried.
But no, yes, cutting your teeth on that stuff is important. It's helpful. It gets you good momentum, so long as the game doesn't die. But even if it does die, you know, you
just got to pivot. You just got to pivot and say, I knew it was going to die. That's why I hitched my wagon to this lame horse, baby.
That's right. Exactly right. I'm going to go cover fucking gacha games and just get paid, you know? So, yeah.
Very nice. All right. I finished Deathloop, finally, after... When did that game come out? Like 3 years ago?
Feels like 8 years, but yep. Probably.
Yeah.
Did we give it a Game of the Year award in 2021 or something?
Did we?
There was that year where I was making the
2021,
Game
yeah.
Award images, and I felt like everything was just audio design, Deathloop, level design, Deathloop, gameplay design, Deathloop. I was like, Jesus Christ, I haven't even played this game.
I don't actually know. That is a very good question. We might have to go through the archives for that one. I don't remember that.
There was a lot of Deathloop. I was running out of promotional screenshots to use for these images.
Interesting.
Mm.
Interesting.
Who
I
did the
didn't
review
mind
for
it.
Deathloop on the channel? On the site.
Kieran.
Sorry.
KS.
Yeah. The good
Kieran.
doctor. He gave it a...
Only
2021,
Kieran was
same year
here.
that Outriders came out. So if we did give Game of the Year to fucking Deathloop, then Outriders deserves an apology, a written one.
I unironically agree with you. So
Oh,
there we
my
go.
man.
Here we go.
You have
I
There we
feel
go.
vindicated.
You've given that boy all the vindication he needs to get through the rest of this year.
We actually talked about Outriders last time we were here as well. You guys
We
really
did.
have a
No
opinion
doubt.
about it about Outriders. You're the only one still talking about all these years on. The only ones.
Welcome to the WellPlayed DLC podcast, Australia's juiciest Outriders podcast.
That's right.
No, look, I didn't mind.
How was
Deathloop.
your Deathloop,
I think the fact that I played it across those 3 years is why I didn't have that much issue with it. But I do agree with your points, Ralph. I think a lot of what you said is true. But because I played in such short spurts, I think it didn't bring down it too much. But I did definitely towards the end. I did definitely start to feel the repetition. And by the end of it, I was just like, can you just fucking end now?
Yeah,
Like,
it is like that, isn't it? It is, yeah. So to recap, my thoughts on Deathloop, I don't like it at all. I'm not going to say like, oh, this game is shit. Like, I don't know. I'm a bit over that sort of like, whatever. There are games that are objectively very shit, and this is not one of them. This is just not one that's like to my taste. But I also think it was really, the critical reception to it is genuinely puzzling to me, to a degree where I'm just like, how? Like, how? Like, how are you giving this game 10 out of 10? How is it getting so many Game of the Year awards? I just think it has so many fundamental design problems with its promise of what it's trying to be as this kind of like time loop game that's not actually a time loop game at all, because there's no passage of time, there's no patterns you can learn within this. It's like this detective game where you can't actually solve any puzzles because all the solutions are literally handed to you in the menu screen. It's this action game where like the NPCs are unbelievably brain dead, and you can literally just park yourself in a doorway and mow them down, and they'll just run at you endlessly. Like narratively, it's flopped so hard at the back end. Like the ending is fucking garbage. All of it is just terrible. Like all of it, I just think is such a massive disappointment. It has so many elements that could have been great, and I love arcane games very much. But it was especially like after Prey Moon Crash as well. Has anyone here played Prey Moon Crash?
It's on my list.
It should be on everyone's list. I unironically believe it is like the best immersive sim ever made, because it actually combines immersive sim elements with time loop with roguelike elements. It's crazy how well it comes together. And my thinking, but for real though, like when you actually play the game, you'll see exactly what I mean. And I think most people who play it appreciate what it's doing. And you compare that to Deathloop, like Deathloop just seemed like such an easy layup. They just like take the principles that you had with, Moon Crash and just make a whole game out of it. They were made by different studios, obviously, but at the same time, like the gap in quality is so stark. So
that's probably the most interesting bit of information I've been told about Deathloop, because everyone else just sort of gushed about it to the point where I couldn't really grab onto anything interesting to it. I just went, okay, so it's really good. I guess.
But I really do believe that not the critical, but like the consensus on that game has shifted a lot since that review cycle hit. Like I think back then it was like just everyone's like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" And then after that, everyone like, "Well, hang on a second," you know what I mean?
Is it one of those games that came out during a drought of quality, and so it just sort of got immediately elevated? Because that happens. It's the Tiger King effect. Like,
you know what I
think
think
is going on, and it blows up.
Do you know what I think it is? I actually think that I think that arcane games were historically very undervalued by games press. They were underscored. And I suspect that there was an element of games media, whatever, that was looking to make sure they didn't make that same mistake. And they're like, okay, we should probably give it some higher score, whatever. But this was the wrong one to do that.
So they were compensating.
You know what I mean? Like Prey Moon Crash has Prey, even the base game, has a significantly lower Metacritic score than this one. I challenge anyone to play through those 2 video games and say to me that Deathloop is a better video game. I would
I
love
didn't
to
like
have
Prey.
that conversation. You
I
didn't
did
like
not like
Prey?
Prey.
Okay.
Prey's awesome.
I couldn't even
Prey's
play
incredible.
more than like a few hours because I just didn't get into it.
It's super good.
Soz.
It's super good. But yeah. Anyway, look. Obviously, it's horse for course. Everyone has their own take. But yes, I definitely will die on the hill that Deathloop is not great, sadly, as much as I want it to be. And I'm actually on good terms with the Arcane staff in terms of like we've talked.
If it's not great, is it at least good?
That's the thing. I actually don't think it is, but I really don't think it is. Like I don't think any part of it actually works except for the voice talent, who are incredible at it. They do such a good job. And the stuff that you learn later in the game, pretty messed up, not gonna lie. But I'll let you guys discover that for yourselves. But yeah,
because after this, I'm rushing to play Deathloop and definitely not, Prey Moon Crash.
That's right, exactly.
After this, oh dear,
exactly.
I did, yeah. One of a lot of the stuff that you said. So there's one thing I hated that you couldn't change your powers like mid, like mid mission. If you, I made the mistake of one of the powers I'd never infused it, like just because there's so many fucking different menus, and I just hadn't done it. So then when I killed some dude, I was like, oh yeah, I'll take his thing because I haven't saved that one, and then. Obviously, I'd lost the one that I'd been using like the whole entire game. So then I had to go back and play the mission again purely just to get that first one. And it's just like, can't.
Sounds like you loved it, mate.
I thought it was like it was.
You could have put it down over 3 years.
I'd probably score it maybe a 6.5 to a 7. I think.
I think that's a good score for that. I think it makes sense. Yep, I think it sounds about right. That's basically where I would have put it as well. Visually, fantastic. Style, incredible. Voice performances, great. I do think some of the level design stuff was pretty good, actually. Outside of that, though, I was just like, no, man, not much for me here. So
there wasn't much of a challenge other than Juliana. And again, like as you said, towards the end, it's just like, just fuck off. Like,
it is. It really is.
More so, I think, because of the tunnels thing. Like that annoyed me more. So whenever Juliana goes on the hunt, you have to then go unlock the tunnels. Oh,
of course, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, it locks you down. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that's the part I found like more annoying.
Was there still anyone doing PvP invasions when you played?
I turned it off.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Fair so turn that off. All right.
It's like literally the most interesting part of that entire game.
I remember, when I first started playing it, Kieran and because he had finished the game and I was only just starting it, he would just invade me and kill me every single time.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah. James, you played Deathloop?
No, I've never touched it.
You gonna touch it?
No, I'm not. I'm curious what they're going to do with Blade. I want them to pull back and do something good. But Arcane's output has been interesting. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Adam, you got a face? Let's
I'm glad he's got a face.
No face. No face here, mate.
No, faceless.
All right. Anything else before we kick into the previews and reviews and whatnot?
Everything I've been doing is previews or reviews, so I've got nothing.
All right. Where do you want to start? I guess we'll start what the doco says, not to make James upset. But we'll go with Star Wars Outlaws. I know that, Adam, you've played it.
Yes.
You've played it. But,
go, Adam, use your face.
Use your face.
Yeah. I'll make faces, mate. Ooh, how's that one? Yes. So I recently took a brief trip to Sydney. They've got power there. It's wonderful. To play about 4 hours worth of Star Wars Outlaws, some of which you've likely seen before. It's some bits on the moon called Tushara, and then Kimji, the snow planet where Kijimi. Yeah. Where you've seen Kay do the kind of stealth infiltration mission. But I had a lot more time in the open world that was Tushara, which was, pretty great. I was just kind of let to my own devices to kind of go and find trouble.
Is that the new planet that they've introduced in this game? Like it hasn't been in any other media?
Yeah, correct. And it it fits in exceptionally well. I'll kind of touch on the thing I like most about it, which is the immersion side of things. But I mean, the game itself is about what you would expect. It is an open world, massive, as in the studio, action game. The shooting is, if you've played Division, it's vaguely similar in some respects.
No, I disagree with that completely.
Yeah,
He should know.
let's fight.
He cut his teeth on Division before he became a big YouTuber. Ruben.
Yeah, I know. I'd heard rumors, but like it's all serviceable, I suppose. Like the combat is good. I think I have to really check my biases here because I'm looking for. I haven't played an open world action game in a long time. I've kind of been drawn to that genre. I fucking love Star Wars. So it's ticking boxes for me right in this moment. So I'll have to kind of take a step back to see if maybe it's just a
hunger bias.
Yeah, exactly. But the preview starts with you crash land on Tashara and you immediately find a mechanic, which is fantastic. And you're accosted by pirates. You get into a shootout. Like I said, you're kind of introduced to the fairly general gunplay. You have bullet time because everyone with a revolver and a holster has bullet time, even if it is a blaster. It's good. Like I have no qualms about that. You're a Star Wars gunslinger. It feels cool to gun down pirates in quick succession. But yeah, you make your way to a nearby outpost using your speeder bike, which starts off feeling exceptionally boring. Eventually, I unlocked a boost for it, which helps dramatically. It's still not awfully interesting to ride about on. It's very much kind of like I don't know. It's any other traversal mechanic. Like it's a horse in Skyrim or Witcher or whatever, where you get from point A to point B, but it doesn't have legs and it floats and it goes fast. That's kind of as much you can.
Like those games, like if you have left it somewhere and walked away, do you whistle and
you whistle, man?
Yeah,
you just and it just comes straight to you. It's wonderful.
Are you shitting with me, or is this a real thing?
No. It's like you have like some little homing button. Yeah. And it just kind of appears out of nowhere.
Brilliant.
Which, to be fair, it sounds stupid, but also I don't want to remember where I parked my speeder bike.
No.
I'd prefer to
like
just
Teslas do something like this, don't they? So I mean, it's pretty
sure
to say that a speeder would too. I don't think it's that.
Wait, did Teslas drive to you if you lose?
No, I think that's actually a thing. Like one of the self-driving features, like you park your car and then you press it, and then the thing will drive to you out of the car park.
Thinking back to like Arkham Knight and the Batmobile just coming crashing down the wall and being like, Elon, no.
Same thing. But yeah, so you go to Tashara to more or less earn credits to, get your ship back in working order.
Credits will do fine.
Yeah, exactly. The main hub in Tashara is where I had the best time because it feels very Star Wars. Like I was genuinely surprised with how immersive I found the game. Like you walk through pretty much the first thing you do is you walk through an Imperial checkpoint. And Kay, that being the main character, she is not good at this at all. She's like flipping up her collar, looking as dodgy as fuck as possible. She gives a fake ID card and they're like, this is you? And her response is literally like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's me. Of course it is. And you can see them like accosting other red aliens like Twi'leks and all of it feels very alive and very Star Wars. As you're walking through, it's kind of a dingy city, so they're like, beating the Imperials are beating people up and they're going into businesses and shaking them down and all of that stuff. And
when is this set? Like, what's the time period as far as Star Wars goofiness goes?
It's between Empire and Jedi.
Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, so the Empire is kind of like at the height of their powers, more or less. So the influence is very much felt. But yeah, so you go into a bar, they're playing Sabak, they're having a grand old time, and you meet up with one of the gang leaders, and kind of, you get a few different missions to earn their trust, and that's where it kind of the interplay between the different gangs kind of comes in. You go and you do a mission, and you find out some information that was probably more than what was promised to you. And you're given your first choice. You can side with the clan that has given you that mission, or you can sell them out to Crimson Dawn. And depending on what you do, will kind of give you influence one way or the other. I went really hard one way, and I kind of got in, the good terms with the local gang, and that afforded me certain luxuries. I could go into certain parts of Tashara without being accosted by them. But the more you do for one gang, the more the others will hate you. So there's a cool little interplay there as well. And I really like the idea, and I'm hoping across, 20, 30 hours, there'll be some cool little moments that you can play off there as well. I also did the mission where you go to an Imperial outpost in space. The ship is a ship. You definitely fly it. It's largely fine. We have a lot of really exceptional kind of aerial combat games and segments in games, so it definitely doesn't stand out as one of the better ones. It very much feels to me like you're not going to be doing massive missions in the Starship. It's more going to be like a little stopgap in between, which I'm kind of fine with. Like if you get into a dogfight here and there, sure, it's kind of like a palate cleanser, I guess, a mediocre palate cleanser. The Imperial base itself was kind of more one of the linear missions. I was completely fine with that. I had a fun time. You get into shootouts, you can kind of take the stealth approach. You can use Nyx, your little alien buddy, to distract guards and jump on them so you can close distance and things like that. It's all good. Like, good is kind of where I land with most of the elements, aside from the immersive nature of it, which I think is maybe not great, but really good. I don't know, different levels of good. But Ralph, I've purposefully avoided your preview video. How are you kind of sitting?
Always a good idea.
Yeah, how are you sitting with it at the moment? Yeah, so we could have this conversation, not because I avoid your content.
Sure, man. Sure. No, nice save on that one.
Oh shit.
So no. Look, I think I'm exactly the same page, to be honest with you. I think the only thing I would say is it's interesting to see the discourse around this one. How toxic's not the right word. No, it is the right word. It's toxic. For some, like,
yeah.
Yep.
Ubisoft games, I think they earn a lot of the shit that they get in terms of monetization and quality and whatever. Absolutely. For whatever. Sure. But I don't think this game is so bad that it deserves this level of vitriol that it's getting. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's fun. I had a good time with it. I've never pulled any punches in any of my other Ubisoft coverage. I wouldn't pull them here either. If I didn't think this was good, I would say I don't think it's very good, But so far, I'm actually having a good time with it. It is simple. It is straightforward. I think it's fair to say disappointingly so, in the sense that Massive is a very talented studio, and I think they're capable of a lot more than this in terms of designing gunplay, for example, right? There's a studio that really knows how to do that really well. Like, very few third-person shooters feel as good as Division feels, right? And this is just not even the same fucking galaxy as that. Sorry, slip of the tongue. Yeah. But like, this is not even the same galaxy as that. It's crazy to do, and I think the reason for that obviously is because they didn't do a cover system. Doing a cover system changes the entire way your game is made, and so I can understand why they didn't do that.
Really, Outlaws doesn't have a cover system.
No, it's only soft cover. You can literally just crouch down behind something, but you don't snap to it.
See, I haven't watched a lot of it, but I thought that was just going to be a done thing in that game.
Yeah,
interesting.
I know. Honestly, it should have been, because it's but they really want to keep you focused on stealth and whatever. But you could have had your cake and eat it too. They chose not to. I think the flight stuff really sucks. It's not that it's aggressively bad. It's just incredibly mediocre, and there's not really doing anything. Yeah, I mean, it does feel quite janky. I think the facial animations really suck as well. Like, that's really very disappointing how bad they look. Given that's such a story,
it's rough. Yeah,
given it's a story-based game where, like, and I'm actually really into the story. I like the characters. I like the vibe. I like what that's doing. But it just looks so awkward watching this. It feels truly last generation. The facial generation, the facial fit. And in fact, like the PS3 era was doing better faces than this for sure. So yeah, man. My vibe on this one is it's going to be fun. I feel like if I was to place it, it feels like one of those kind of wait for sale sorts of games. You know, should you rush out and spend 130 Australian dollars or whatever it is on this? My sense is probably not, but Ubisoft games get discounted really fast and they get heavily discounted. So when you can eventually pick this up for cheap, I suspect it's going to be great value and you'll have a good time with it, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, because I do think its commitment to the source material is strong. The vibes are very good, but yeah, like I was hoping for more, I think is what I would say.
Yeah.
Given Massive's pedigree and the opportunity that they have in front of them by making a truly open world Star Wars game.
Yeah, I don't think it innovates in really any way. I also wasn't really expecting it to, so I'm not left massively disappointed there, I suppose. One thing that I do really like, and it's not innovation by any stretch of the imagination, but the way that it deals with upgrades, I think is quite cool. So I did get like the way that I got the boost on my speeder bike is you have to seek out, I think they call them experts. So they're just kind of like random people in the world that you need something from, but they're also going to need something from you. So you exchange, you go off and do a side mission and then you'll get an unlock for them. So instead of like, I don't know, you get force points and you can put them into 3 different force point categories. Like there's something tangible in the world that you can do. And I think that fits really well with kind of the scoundrel story of being like, oh yeah, I met such and such, and that's how I got the upgrade for my speeder bike or my ship. I think it thematically fits, and I also think it's more engaging than just like, I've leveled up, now I can shoot quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, Ralph, though. I think ultimately it is going to be fun, if not super engaging.
Yes, I think that's it. So, yes, a Ubisoft game. A Ubisoft original, you might say.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
What did James, hearing that since you've played it, what are your thoughts very, very quickly?
I don't know yet. I got such a small slice of actual gameplay that I didn't find any of its systems to be particularly good. I thought it was like fine based on what I saw, but that was 55 minutes of it. It was nothing compared to what you guys have played. So I'm like you mentioned before about like the stealth systems. And I did that mission on Kajimi. I assume it's the same one where you like break into like the kind of spa situation. And I really tried to play with those stealth systems to see, could you trigger people being alerted by a body on the ground? If you run behind someone instead of sneaking, does that alert someone? Nothing. It's just everything that I played felt very, very, very early, which is odd given how close to release we are with this thing.
Early.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Is this like a next month?
August
this month.
This month.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Is it really August 30? Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not particularly hopeful about this. I think it's a lovely team, and I get the ideas behind it. I don't know if this is going to hold up to 30 hours. So.
Yep, I hear you.
Very nice. All right, cool. Next on the agenda, Ash, you've been a busy man.
Have I? Yeah.
You pumped a little good one out.
I did.
Oh,
Jesus, phrasing. Goodness.
Well, my diet's been getting better. I've been working out. Protein. It does it for everyone. But no, actually, this is one of those cases of I missed this in pre-release. But thank goodness you're here, released, and I saw a couple of other people's like just general thoughts on it, and I had to get a slice of that action. So I managed to jump on it real quick and do a review, and it is a brief but very brightly burning candle. It's really hard to explain to people, but the bottom line is it's just this really cracked out, incredibly British sort of comedy game, which is sort of, they call it a slapformer. It's like a 2-button open world, jumpy thing where you just get given puzzles that have these completely oddball reasonings behind it. But it's the kind of thing, like, if anyone was to play this game, it should open with like an interstitial, like, do you like British comedy like The Mighty Boosh, things like Monty Python, things like, lesser Graham Linehan things before
Multi Towers.
Yeah, just really, really odd shit. But it's I finished it in under 2 hours, and I can safely say that I enjoyed every second. Even when that game told me nothing and I was stuck, I was still loving it because it's just mile-a-minute gags. It's got a similar energy to something like Untitled Goose Game, where it's like, here is the world. Just go and, imbibe your chaos upon it. But
is that the same studio?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No.
I
checked.
Panic, yeah?
It's Panic. It's developed by Cole Supper, but it's published by Panic, which is why when it got
That's
released,
why. That's why.
they were doing like a double deal of get like Thank Goodness You're Here and Untitled Goose Game. That's why I first found out about it. But it's just this crudely drawn adventure where effectively you play this, for some reason, very tiny little man with a lemon-shaped head. You're going to a small town to talk to the mayor about something, and your appointment with him has been delayed. And so instead of staying in the reception area, you decide just to wander around the town. And it's got this really very, very quintessential small town energy where everyone knows each other and everyone talks to each other and everybody sort of hates everybody. And because it's got this small town energy, everyone's sort of got a problem and they just need you to fix it. And it's never something simple, and it's always something absurd. I think I said, like, there's a story to the game, but like the most involved developing narrative element that you actually come to sort of, enjoy is you help a bloke fix a deep fryer. And, that's probably the lion's portion of storytelling within the game. Oh, I've lost me bloody hammer. I bet that stupid bitch down the road stole it. Go get it. And then you go down there and you have to help her with something to get the hammer back, and it turns out she didn't steal it. It's actually the rats that live in the ceiling of the supermarket who have set up their own rat supermarket, and you accidentally collapse the ceiling, and now the rat supermarket's taken over the human supermarket. Like, anyone listening to that on like a bus or something, or as like part of a one-sided phone conversation, would just assume that I've been like eating lead chips of paint, but that's legitimate stuff that happens in the game. So really, it's I think the only real comment I can offer is it's one of those games that after you've played it, you'll end up prompting the question to other people of, have you played it as well? If they say yes, you will have a great time talking about the oddball shit. And if they haven't played it, you'll then say, mate, it's like $20, pick it up. Pick it up, sit down for an hour and a half, grab a beer. If you don't have a good time, you're probably dead inside. Like, it's a way of diagnosing whether you've forgotten what fun is.
Do you guys remember that Beavis and Butthead game from the Mega Drive?
Yes.
No. This sounds to me like that.
It's like that.
There's literally a gag in that about the deep fryer as well, like deep frying rats in that. Do you know what I mean? So
you're not wrong.
That's what got me thinking about it.
Oh, but it is so British. It's just that weird, absurd comedy that just you just can't help but go, yeah, I could see this in the Mighty Boosh. It would make absolute perfect sense. There is a gag. I'm just going to say for anyone listening, if you're playing the game, it's a gag, it's a blink and you'll miss it thing. But if you see two people arguing about a bin, when you go past them a couple of times later, just make sure you pay attention to what's going on, because it's stupid, but the payoff is, I'm not going to say amazing. It's just as stupid, but I had to stop. I had to put the controller down and laugh for how ridiculously dumb it was. But don't miss it. It develops. But yeah, I gave it a solid 9 because I thought it was fantastic. The only downside,
better than Outriders.
It's better than Outriders. Remember, we've discussed this. It's a release vacuum. If Outriders came out at the same time, there would be a proper competition. But yeah, the only downside to the game is that it is incredibly brief. But by God, it burns brightly for such a brief candle.
Yeah, very much want to play it.
I bought it. I plan to find the couple of hours I need to get through it because everything I've heard about is fantastic.
Steam told me I finished it in 1.7 hours.
Jesus Christ!
Thank you, Gabe.
Yep.
How much is it? $20. Just
I think it's like 24 something.
Cheaper than a movie ticket, and you get more laughs.
Correct. And if you are
on a Tuesday,
if you are a completionist, I've heard that there's a secret ending that I might go back and do.
Replayability, look out.
Yeah.
Lovely. Awesome. All right. Before we get into the next big thing, we'll just do a very, very quick shout out.
Who are we shouting at this time?
So Mark has reviewed the Sacred Acorn. And he says the Sacred Acorn does a lot of things right. An enjoyable hand-drawn world and some fun ideas within its scroll-led adventure. but the fun is lost between a sea of familiarity and an ocean of awkwardness, leading to an okay journey that needed that extra spark to truly shine. So this is a Aussie-made little, almost isometric-y kind of animal adventure thingy by A Few Dragons, I think is the dev name. Adelaide, I think. Anyway, he gives that a 6.5.
It is Adelaide. Who would live in Adelaide? Jesus.
Well, you know that things that come out of Adelaide are just above average.
Trash.
Yeah.
I've just looked up the Steam game for that game, Steam store for that game, and it says a cozy Souls-like squirrel adventure.
Does it really?
Fuck off.
You're just putting Souls-like in front of everything at this point.
A cozy Souls-like squirrel adventure. I'm gonna
None of that makes sense.
Just 1 second. Control F. The word nuts does not appear on this page anywhere. Whoever's writing their puns needs to be sacked or never got hired in the first place.
I'll go throw a brick.
Cozy, Souls-like, and cozy. Obviously.
Their offices, because never mind. Don't worry about it. I'm not explaining the jokes to you.
I owe you nothing, sir.
All right, cool. The main event, the reason why the big dog is here, Ralph, you and Ash, you have played the preview of Space Marine 2.
We did.
We did. We tried to play some co-op. It didn't work. We tried for an hour and like an hour and 15 minutes to get it working. Didn't get it working. So
we sat in that hangar with the ambiance of the battle barge going on around us and discussed all the surprising facets of the game. I just thought this could have been like an ASMR podcast recording with like the sound of spaceships taking off and stuff, and just us going, surprised this game is as good as it is. It has no right to be this good.
Correct.
But yeah, unfortunately, the co-op portion just doesn't launch.
It doesn't, and like it's so concerning because this is like the build that they gave us to showcase the co-op, and the co-op doesn't work, and the game is out in a month, and they cancelled their multiplayer beta test because they said that they need to focus their efforts on shipping the best possible product.
Well, hey,
but a beta test is how you make sure they ship the best possible product. That
might be why they cancelled the multiplayer betas, because they're trying to get the co-op portion to launch.
Seriously, it's that kind of thing where I would not be at all surprised if there was some announcement being like, oh, we're really excited about launch. However, the multiplayer components will be arriving soon after launch. Like it's at that level of, you know what I mean? Which is such a shame.
Or a delay, because they've done that before as well.
I can't delay at this point. I reckon it's too late.
It come out last year.
Yeah, no, but they've already said they've gone gold, and like we're that close to it. It's not good. I doubt that'll happen.
Who did go gold and then delayed? Who was that?
I do remember something about that. I forget who that was, but yes, I do remember.
I'm gonna check that out while you.
Anyway, Space Marine
went gold and still
is a very good video game, and even if you don't give a shit about Warhammer, I think you're still gonna like this one. But if you do care about Warhammer, you're just gonna like cream your pants endlessly. You're gonna need to change your pants every 15 minutes when you play this game.
It is quite literally grimdark porn, basically.
It's absolutely like totally. I mean, I played a build last year, and just for like one mission, I think it was just one, and already that was super impressive. It's come so far since then. PC performance on a high-end PC was absolutely flawless. It looks unbelievable. The art design and display is out of this world. Is the best looking Warhammer game ever made, and that's saying something given that Darktide had set such a high bar, but this surpasses it. Story wise, it just goes super hard. Even in one campaign mission, it delivered more story than the entirety of Darktide.
Yeah.
And it delivered an excellent story, well told, with great voice acting and great little arcs that played out very like powerfully over such a short runtime.
But without just dumping exposition or locking you in a cutscene. Like you're still playing the game, but little things are happening and still sort of tickling that part of your brain where you sort of go, oh, I'm not just smashing bugs. There's something else here. I love it.
Totally. And without also demanding that you know tons about Warhammer. Like you can just not know anything, I would say, and just go in and be like, because I know a little bit about Warhammer. I'll put it that way, right? If Henry Cavill is a 10 out of 10 when it comes to Warhammer, I'm like a 1.5 to 2 tops. You know what I mean?
Look, after I shared some stuff with you today, you're probably safely a 2.
Maybe.
Safely.
But even then, I'm still just soaking it up and loving it. The action is better now than I played it last year as well, because There are more weapons. There are intricacies to the weapons and the melee weapons as well in terms of how they function. There are more enemy types. The systems that support all of that in terms of like parries and dodges and executions and all that's been really tightened up. There are way more executions than I'd ever seen before. The technology of the Tyranid swarms, they're real things that you can shoot. They're not just like little fucking skybox items until they get to a certain like distance. You can shoot them from really far away, even when they're just little like melts of pixels or whatever.
Yeah, you would legitimately think they're just a sprite. You think that they're just like, it's just like an overlay to go, yeah, that looks like bugs there. But then you shoot them and they turn at you and they approach you and get bigger and become more detailed, and they're literally objects. They're literally enemies. It's nutty.
So honestly, and then by the way, that's just the campaign.
Yeah.
There's also like, this is also like a co-op shooter in a more sort of Left 4 Dead sense, okay? And with a whole bunch of there are like 6 classes that each class has their own gear setup, their own progression tree. Each weapon that you get has its own unlock level with rarities and progression trees. There are like 4 different difficulties that you have to move through. Like, this game essentially is not just a one and done campaign and some PvP. This game is essentially positioning itself as a PvE co-op shooter that you can continue to play with your mates.
Pardon me?
I know, right? No one, I don't think they really sold that point up until now, but like, that's a thing, you know?
They sort of dropped like, hey, there's progression in this classes, that's kind of cool. But when you get into it and actually see the nitty gritty, like the progression's not like, hey, cool, you've played like 5 missions, you got experience, your guns do 1% more damage. It's like, you legitimately can unlock things like, hey, you know that active ability that defines your class? Here's 2 other options that you can use to change how that class plays.
Yeah,
so
like,
you and your mates could play completely different playstyles as the same character. Not at the same time, but, you know.
So imagine Darktide. Darktide, we all understand what that is. It's a co-op shooter with progression and unlocks and cosmetics and all that sort of shit. This actually has all of that, not to quite the same scale, I would imagine, because I haven't seen the full content offering. But like, it's the same sort of thing. Plus, it has an actually good campaign, which Darktide certainly didn't have. Plus, it actually has 6v6 PvP. We don't know if it works yet, but it's coming. Maybe, hopefully.
I cancelled the beta.
And that's another thing that Darktide doesn't have. So I'm not just comparing this to Darktide, mind you, but I mentioned Darktide purely because I think it is the high watermark for great Warhammer.
High fidelity Warhammer
exactly.
offerings. It's just that wheelhouse.
Even though it's missing heaps of shit and whatever. All of that aside, Darktide feels incredible. This feels just as good, except it feels like a complete package, you know?
Yep. The other fantastic thing that we managed to play around with today, even though we didn't get to do any co-op, but there's also a fully realized dress up your Man Mountain Barbie system in the game, which is actually very cool. And I feel like they really need to dip into, like, they've shown some of the customization, but, you know, I am a card-carrying Warhammer tabletop mega dork, and, you know, I know what the taste of paint is like because I've consumed tons of it. They haven't really gone into the detail of what you can do to make your special Space Marine Barbie. And it's actually really involved. There's color swatches, there's color zones. You can choose where to put what color and how. You can have a yellow right arm, a green left arm, a red left leg. You can change the decals on your shoulders. You can choose, you know, what kind of, do you have a bionic arm, a regular arm? Do you have a skull in your kneecap? Do you not?
James wants to know, can you paint the knob?
Sure.
The dick tail.
You could tell just the look on his face.
He was ready to ask it. He was ready to ask it.
Can you define their path towards their
pelvic bone region?
That's right.
Have you not seen that they've got cake? I'm pretty sure Ash did a whole article.
Yeah, they did an article saying that they're packing hella ass, and they still are.
I believe it.
I
believe it.
But it just means that, like, you and your mates playing this game, as you play and unlock stuff, you'll be changing the way that you play. You'll be changing, because like, you only take 3 players into a mission at any time. There's 6 classes, so it means that you can apply yourself to missions in different ways based off the unlocks you have, the class you want to play. You know, the heavy gunner dude's not working. Fucking, I'm gonna go the melee guy and get up close. You know, I'm gonna get rid of my defensive ability. I'm gonna go more offensive. I'm gonna paint myself neon pink because fuck it, I can. There's just a shitload going on that if you play it by yourself, you're going to encounter so many different people playing in different ways. If you're playing with friends, you're going to develop these cool dynamics that you don't really get to do much anymore in games. Like, things are really railroaded and simple, and like the co-op offering is like, this is how we want you to play, and you play it. this is launching. What has it got? 6 operations immediately. Like there's six of these.
Yes.
Now, the one comment that I can make that unfortunately Ralph can't is that I have actually played through one of the operations because I did actually get into it at one point when the stars aligned.
I played through them.
Oh, you did?
Just not
today.
co-op. Yeah,
Just
I
not
played a
with me,
bunch of
not
them.
co-op.
Just not with you. Yeah, I played solo
Yeah.
with bots. Yeah,
And the bots are dull as dishwater.
terrible.
It's ridiculous.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
They play like your average Warhammer fan, so that's where I fit in.
Wow.
But
Just the like ratio on this was so good up until that point. Now it's ruined.
No, I'm self-deprecating my people. Remember? That's how we
Okay,
refer
fair
to
enough.
them.
That's true. That's true.
But playing it co-op is really quite excellent as well because it's quite open. I was worried it was going to be really railroady and very small scale, and like the actual scope of the missions would be small. But it looks like they have just literally lifted massive portions from the campaign, made it sort of self-contained, and then made it work with 6 varied classes. So it might be something familiar, but then they have said that there's systems to make sure that you don't play the co-op, that you don't play the operation the same every time. So I don't know if that means that there's an AI director. I don't know if there's facets to the operation that might change week to week, or whether there's just something that happens on the fly. But there's so much potential for replayability, and the fact that like it ships with the entire narrative campaign, 3-player co-op. It ships with these 6 operations, which looks like there's room for more, entirely co-op, and then what was it, 6v6 multiplayer? That might work. We don't know. They cancelled the beta, but it's just gonna have such a ridiculous community because every single facet of the game is like grab friends.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you can.
Yeah. I think I really expect this one to go very large. Actually, that's my pick on this one. Like, I don't think anyone's quite prepared for how good it looks, how well it plays, just how much there is. I think everyone's expecting 12 missions, one and done. But I think there's a lot more to it, and it's a fantastic foundation for the future. Because if they stick with it and they keep building out these operations, and this is how you start a live service. You make a really good game that people want to play, and then when they want to play some more of it, you can make some more stuff and keep going. Like that's
you
how
start by setting the table.
Totally. You don't make a shitty half-baked game promising the future. You make a really good game that has lots of stuff, and then you say we're going to add more to it in future. This feels like this could be a live service if they want it to be. It has the skeleton for that. And I would be very happy to see it evolve in that way because the foundation they've got there is so strong based upon the 3 campaign missions I've played now, the 3 co-op PvE missions that I played. And yeah, so far it's all just been incredible.
Truly everything. Just
sounds so good.
Yeah, it's just absurd. The whole thing just oozes quality. Everything's just like
this team is the one that they're going to make Knights of the Old Republic 2 after this. No, it's remake, sorry. So this team, it's very encouraging for that. Like the quality of the bar that they've hit with this is wild. So very encouraging for what they do with the future.
Hell yeah.
Is this actually no, first question first. If I don't know what this is, right? If I said, is this like Doom? What would you say?
I would say there's some similarities, quite a few similarities actually.
You could play it like Doom.
Yeah, I would say fundamentally, what are those games
if you've
trying
played
to do?
Doom, you could apply your Doom lessons to this. You'd just be in the third person.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is ultimately
okay. There you go.
Yeah, it's a third person game.
Third person. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a power fantasy where you play a big armored guy who's mowing down hordes of demons.
Yeah.
So like already you can see that mechanically it's not as nowhere near as refined as Doom, but it's hitting a lot of the same notes. So I do think that yes, this would be one that would appeal to your average Doom fan, and I think your average Doom fan probably has a passing interest in Warhammer anyway. So it kind of
those Venn diagrams are like a perfect circle, my guy.
Just a big circle. Yep, exactly.
All right, are we?
So by the way, when's this go? This is going up. This is going
September 10th. Yeah. When's this? Yeah, it's after. Yeah, when can we talk about this? We recorded this in the past. Time machines.
Is anyone? Sorry, not anyone. But are you two surprised that Saber have made something this good? I'm just going through what games that they've made in terms of action games, right? And there's very little here.
Yeah.
There's World War Z, which is 2023, which that kind of...
They lifted the Horde technology from that. You can tell. Like, I think the exact quote that I said to Ralph early today was, there was 100 ways they could fuck this up and half a dozen ways they could have made it perfect, and they've managed to grab all 6.
They actually have. Yep.
It's
There's
surprising.
a lot of ports. There's not a lot of porting.
They do. They're actually a real workhorse studio. They've got a fantastic
Absolutely.
reputation for the quality of their work as a support studio.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised they've made a good game, but I mean, we just don't know. They're not on the map to this point, and I think they'll be on the map after this for sure.
From my digging around, if only because I played the first game, I loved the first game, and the first game had all the pedigree to do well, and it did. It was a good Warhammer game. When this came out, I started doing the digging, if only to prepare myself for disappointment. It just seems that anybody who's anybody at that studio genuinely likes Warhammer 40,000. So it's one of those cases that they're just sort of tapping into a like to do well. Like there's art guys who are like, I'm so fucking pumped to be working on this. The creative director's like, I know what Warhammer is. This is what it has. This is how it needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it's just from a case that they've got a good pedigree to realize their potential if they've got the subject matter to work on it. And they've just been given, this really, I'm not going to say, amazing, because it's just, let's be honest, it's nerd porn. But they have been given this really fully realized setting, characters, and all they have to do is just translate it to the screen and make sure it works. And like, I'm not underselling what they've done, but they've just kept it real. Okay, you put the 9-foot tall man into the game, you make him a fucking tank, and you smush bugs, and the rest is just world building and making it amazing. And they've done it.
Basically, yes.
If we're going to talk Saber, I think you need to stop fucking around and get to the actual question. They made SnowRunner. Is there a big fuck off truck for my big fuck off man to get into?
There's lots of trucks parked. I don't know if you can drive any of them, but there are a lot of.
You can't get in the cab. They're made for regular humans, and you stand like literally above this fucking back of it.
Nah, fair enough then. I'm going to assume they
That'd be
are
like
you can.
Ralph getting into my car, wouldn't it?
Oh god.
Good.
All right.
Full circle. Now you're kidnapping Ralph after he found out where you work? There's a narrative to this podcast.
Maybe.
That's right. There's layers.
All right. So the game I was thinking of that gone gold and then was delayed. I don't know how we didn't even think of it, but Cyberpunk.
Was it Cyberpunk
went gold and then got delayed.
I don't actually remember that doing that.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking of another one.
Went gold and was delayed a month, I think,
Yeah, they went gold and went, oh, like this isn't gold. This is more like off silver shit.
All right, cool. You can check out Ash's preview on the website, and you can check out Ralph's video. I assume that's up on embargo. Yep. Yeah, cool.
I tried, but I might not be able to. But I'll have it. It'll be up by the time this is up.
I'll do the video for you. It's all right.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate you.
All right, good stuff. All right, James, you're up.
Yeah.
Hot seat.
Right.
It's yours.
Cool. News. Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's start with the Bungie stuff. I'll give a quick overview for any listeners who aren't up to date, and then we might throw to Ralph on this one. But so Bungie has laid off, eliminated 220 roles. This is about 17% of its workforce. This was announced on Twitter by Pete Parsons in a statement. Now, 150 roles are also being folded into Sony Interactive Entertainment. They will be working on a brand new sci-fi fantasy game that was already sort of incubating slowly within the walls of Bungie and will now be spun off into a Sony-specific property. This sort of, continues the trend we've seen this year of terrible layoffs and all that. It's very much sort of par for the course, even if it is from a bigger studio, so it's quite shocking. And then sort of in the days that followed, a report came out of GameFile, which had some former Bungie employees sort of talking about this idea that basically before Sony had acquired them for $3.6 billion, Bungie had misrepresented what it was either capable of or what it could be doing within its walls. And one worker there apparently has said that alternatively, if they weren't acquired, then it would have been insolvency for the company. So this is a lot. Right. I don't know. We're all relatively fans, I guess, of industry comings and goings. But like Ralph, you're our Bungie guy tonight. So what's the vibe like in Bungie land?
It's bad, man. It's very bad. It's never been.
Crossing over to Ralph in the Bungie camp. How's everyone going tonight?
Yeah, it's fucked. That's right. No, it's a bummer. I mean, like obviously Destiny's always had big ups. And big and lots of big downs.
Isn't Destiny literally it's so over, we're so back community? Totally, like it just swings.
Absolutely. But it really does feel very Jover at this point. But realistically, it's not over. Like, we have to remember that most live service games that are very successful don't do expansions. Okay. Like even look at Warframe, which pulls similar concurrent numbers to Destiny. Not as much, but in that ballpark. They don't do expansions. They just do major content updates. They're all free, and that's how they do it. And like you look at, all of your battle royale games and your whatever else, like they're all doing that, right? Having said that, we had it better with the expansions. Like that's not to say, well, expansions are good, and the fact that we will no longer have expansions fucking sucks. It's a real disappointment. Really taking the wind out of the sails of the community. As I said, it does sap your desire to want to log on and sort of continue with the game, because you're like, well, it just feels like Destiny's best days do not lie ahead. Let's say that maybe we can eke out an existence playing Destiny, but it's still a shadow of the things that we might have had. That's a melancholy existence, because we're always going to be remembering yesteryear and thinking, oh, that was fun, wasn't it? And it's not that anymore, So the vibes are very bad. I will keep an open mind about the game. I had naturally imagined that for Final Shape, this is the truth. I had naturally imagined that Final Shape would be my jumping off point for Destiny. And I'd be like, okay, I'm done. I've done 10 years now. It's time to move on. Then I play Final Shape and I'm like, oh man, this is so good. This is so good. Like we are so back. Like this is it, man. All right, we've got momentum. This is how Bungie have delivered. Fuck yeah, man. There's hope. And now this happens, and you're just like, well, oh, okay.
It's so over.
It's so over. And, because you've got almost half the number of people working on the game at Bungie than there were 10 months ago. You've got a clear statement to do no more expansions. You've got this promise of smaller content updates, very amorphous, like, episodic structures and this and that. And, none of it sounds particularly exciting. If they were to come out and say, we faced really hard times, we're going to spend a little bit of time regrouping, but then we're going to get back to the big expansions. We're going to get back to the big story arcs. We have another 10-year saga in us. We have big dreams for this franchise. I'd be like, all right, well, yeah, I'll sure, okay. But right now,
stay tuned.
It's not that. And I think as well, like we had all been quietly hoping for some sort of Destiny 3. Not all. I mean, some people have views on this. People are like, but I think a critical mass of people would have liked to have seen a Destiny 3, to see the slate wiped clean, to see what Bungie could do. Just imagine something bigger and not even bigger, just different. We're up for that at this point, and we are not going to get that now, and that is a real bummer. So yeah, it's very disappointing. But at the same time, we had a good 10 years. It was a good 10 years. Good. And I really respect Bungie for what they created over that time.
Could I ask a question in the form of a single word? Marathon? ?
Well, Marathon. If you were to say if Marathon was a little thing that Bungie was working on, a team of 150 people, and it's an incubation project that they're going to put it to market in early access and build it up, I'd be like, that's a fucking great idea. Good on you, Bungie. Love to see it. But I'm really glad that you still got 2/3 of your studio working on your moneymaker and the whatever. Now we learn that realistically, I would say more than half of Bungie at this point is working on Marathon. They're going to launch this big ass game and just drop it and hope that it works when it's an extraction shooter, an extremely niche genre. No one who plays Destiny is interested in that, by the way. So you're going to have to build an entirely new audience.
Yeah.
The Halo audience is gone now because they're all aged out. Those people have kids and shit. Like they're not playing extraction shooters anymore. So you are literally going up against Riot with Valorant, and you're going up against CS:GO. You're going up against Tarkov. You're literally going up against League of Legends and Dota. It's that kind of player you're trying to attract. And I don't have faith that Bungie are going to be able to do that. They have been out of the PvP game for so long. I mean, we're talking like the Halo days is when they were properly tooled up on PvP.
Isn't Destiny's PvP busted and has been for...
It's not busted. It's just not very good, and it has not been a focus for a long time. It's just...
Yeah, gotcha.
If you're going to make a game like Marathon and really have it compete, you have that saw has to be so sharp if you're going to go in the way they're planning to go in. Again, if you were just to launch as an incubation side project, minimal staff, minimal cost, build it over time, I'd be like, okay, cool. But they've bet their house on this, and it seems like that bet, they lost their house. You know what I mean? They lost half of it at least. and it just seems very silly in hindsight now. I hope Marathon is good, because if Marathon is not good and it bombs, I think Bungie faces an existential challenge at that point, because there are so many resources dumped into that game. If it doesn't get ROI, it's a very, very serious problem for Bungie for sure. I don't know how much Sony would be willing to bail them out at that point, because they're not willing to.
They already bailed out a bunch of people into other studios.
Correct. So yeah. Anyway, that's it.
I'm aligned with you in a sense that I think that Destiny 2 at some point probably needs to end. And I think 7 years of content is a pretty great run for a game, right? The problem being that, you've got now where like I didn't get into Destiny 2 until like 3-ish years ago. And so there was already stuff that I couldn't play at that point, right? So it becomes this unwieldy beast where you can't actually continue to expand or allow new players to jump on. Destiny 3 would have been wonderful for that, right? Clean slate, let's go again. So yeah, in a sense, I think the final shape being the end of things is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, just from an outsider point of view anyway, but not like this. This seems like the worst possible way this could have broken. So
yeah, exactly right.
Speaking of things breaking bad, GameStop-owned publication of 33 years Game Informer is dead. It's pretty unceremoniously breached this week. Website is already gone. Final issue of the magazine will not reach print. They put out an initial statement that some people thought was very chat GPT written.
Very AI,
I mean, it was a very AI written statement. It was a bit of fucking nothing. And so the staff basically commandeered the Twitter account to post their own very short and sweet goodbye, which caused the account to be nuked from orbit. And so now there is just nothing left of Game Informer.
So, question to people present: did anyone get to see that post before it got deleted?
No.
Yeah. I only saw a screenshot of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a screenshot. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
it wasn't inflammatory. It wasn't like some kind of thinly veiled sort of venom spitting, I can't believe they fucked us kind of thing. It was a lovely goodbye to everybody. And just a little tag of like, and these are the people who made it happen, as sort of a, if you're looking for people who just happen to be out of a job right now. So the fact that they decided to sort of, some seriously tight goon was just like, oh, I better get rid of that before something else happens. Delete it entirely, like black it out.
Some sociopathic shit right there, man.
Dog shit move. Like when I heard it was deleted, I thought, oh, okay, let's go see what kind of sting in the tail the comment had. I thought, like, these people are writers. They've managed to do something really, like, if you take the first character of each line, it says get fucked. But it didn't. It was just beautiful, and it's gone because people suck.
They do.
So let's talk about Game Informer. No, I was going to say, so let's talk about Game Informer. There is somebody here who actually had published work in Game Informer. So
that's right. Yeah. And Adam, your piece about sort of how this all went down, I thought was really nice in a sense. It just obviously opened the existential floodgates for the week, right? And it was, you kind of vented a bit, which was good.
Yeah. So I went to do a news piece like, I don't know, the 1,000 that I've done previously, which is kind of deliver the shit news. Say, WellPlayed wishes everyone the best. And then, it just kind of spun out into me giving my thoughts on the whole situation and kind of the slow death of games media in general. And it reminded me that it's been 5 years since we lost Game Informer Australia, and that hit me really hard then. And this kind of opened that same wound. My first little foray into doing anything in games media was being a part of the Next Big Critic, which is kind of like the letter to the editor. And without that, I wouldn't have bothered to pursue anything in this space. And that was kind of my gateway to WellPlayed and to all of the awesome things that I've done here, all of the awesome people that I've met. And I don't know, it just hit me a lot harder than I expected it to. It was an inevitable thing, like print media, that's the way it goes, especially in the US. Like, I know that in other pockets of the world, print media is still kind of hanging on. The US is not one of them. But it's just a very stark reminder, and I kind of blab on and on about it in the article that I wrote, that it's more important now than I suppose it ever has been. You love. So it doesn't have to be monetary, like I know a lot of people have Patreon and whatnot, and if you're able to do that, fantastic. Like I'm in the financial situation where I can subscribe to a couple of Patreons for the people that I really enjoy. Ralph, I'm not giving you a dime. But like a post, comment, engage with the community that these people are trying to cultivate. Just anything that you can do. It doesn't have to be monetary. Really, it does help. So if you love something, support it is kind of the message of my article. But yeah, it was a sad one to write, but I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's bummer to see how it's all going in that space, and the ad models have ruined everything. So yeah,
I do wonder what the cost would have been of keeping the website running, even on a lesser crew.
You know what the cost is.
Yeah. It's
it's think of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You know what the cost is.
It would be a rounding error. Like
Also, shout out to MinMax, which is an independent gaming outlet they do have on their Discord channel. They're doing some preservation efforts to kind of get any articles that people have access to kind of to compile a little archive of all of the content that was on the website before it got nuked. And also, fuck you, GameStop, for pulling that. That's just, it's dog shit. It's so unnecessary, and it's just, yeah.
I will say, practice. just for the sake of feeding the monster inside me, I'm fucking loving the backlash against GameStop at the moment, because they had that little squirt last week where it's like, oh, I bet you guys wish you bought physical media now, didn't you? And then it's like, this is the next thing that comes out of your mouth. Wow.
Yeah.
Granddad got into the cooking sherry again.
What's our next news nugget?
Look,
James,
I don't know how this worked out. Stars aligned and whatnot. EB Games has decided to launch EB World Plus, which is a paid membership program. Yes, exactly. Don't really know who this is for. So this is $25 for 3 months or $49 for the year. It's basically another addition to their existing EB World loyalty program, but there is a bunch of like benefits, I guess.
Imagine if one of the benefits was like a reduced cost to subscribe to Game Informer.
The couple I've listed here is just you get 5% off digital currencies. They've got this strange buy 10 get 1 free on things like Pokemon like trading cards and T-shirts for some reason.
Items of clothing.
Items of clothing. So Cat Gaming HC on Twitter actually did some math on this. 1 free pack of cards, each pack of card an average of $6. It's $60 for a free pack. Or for the 10 shirts, it's about $350 before you can get a free shirt. So it just doesn't add up in any capacity.
5% off digital currencies.
Yes.
Meaning like, Riot Points, stuff. Not EB Games gift cards though. They were clear about that.
If I bought a membership and then I just bought millions of dollars worth of digital cards and then sold them online,
they'll only sell you $200 at a time.
So okay, that's fine. I can still work with that. You
can see how much his Patreon makes, ladies and gentlemen. This is what being a YouTuber does.
Seriously, I'm not even joking. Some people will do this if that's actually how it is. Like 100%.
But I mean, at the same time, those are the people who can afford to buy millions of dollars of Riot Points and sell them online for their stellar grift. I mean,
I can answer who this is for.
Yeah, I was going to say, you go for it.
I spent the better part of 10 years working for EB Games, and I no longer work for them, so fuck the company. I don't really care. This is for...
Where are you based?
Tassie. I was in the Launceston store.
So he was my guy, my boys.
Right, yeah, okay. You're damn right. This is for a subset of customers that think that the staff are their friends, and the staff are encouraged to cultivate that kind of relationship with them so they can sell them pretty much anything. That is who this is for. It's not a practice that you're outright told to do while you're working for EB Games, but they certainly don't tell you not to. And they give you little pushes in the direction. Well, yeah, that
Yeah, like so I also worked for this
Me
company
too.
up until last year. So it's pretty recent in terms of what they're training people on, and a lot of it is heavily parasocial coded stuff.
It is,
Like
yeah,
because like
100%.
you have to drive up your KPIs, you know, that it's a very KPI forward company. I've still know some people who are within the walls. And apparently this is being pushed as like a main KPI focus. Like you have got to get these people to sign up for this. And yeah, the way that is often presented is just you just be their mate. You know, they just want someone to talk to. Wouldn't it be lovely if you offered them that?
Bro, I'm gonna
It's
eat a
it's
whole tub
foul.
of ice cream tonight and cry thinking that Adam parasocially manipulated me.
This is this is an article, by the way. You should write this up. This is actually good stuff.
I've been meaning to get to it for the
Should
past week.
freelance
So,
this.
yeah.
This will do
It's-
numbers for sure.
It is
Release it
it's kind of-
anonymously as EB James?
No one will know.
It is a gross practice though. And like from the store that I worked in, a lot of like it's very low economic. Like a lot of the people that you're kind of pushed to do this to are people that live on like effectively welfare payments week to week. Like it sounds like, oh, you know, you sell it to the person who comes in and buys all of the BTS pops. They're a fucking sucker, aren't they? But it is more nefarious than that, and it's fucking gross. And yeah, I still have plenty of friends that are still in the EB ecosystem, and none of them like this at all.
No.
And they see it for what it is. Also, EB pulls this shit once every couple decades, as well, like once every decade. The Edge card was the same fucking thing. I've been around the traps long enough to know how that all went down, and you know what? It didn't go down well because it was fucking dog shit. And the same thing will happen here eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference
I've
between
had that
this
bottled up. Sorry.
and level 5? Whatever it is, or level 6. Now, what is it? Level
Don't
5?
even fucking start with the level 5
Well, I mean,
bullshit.
level
My God.
6 or whatever costs how many thousands of dollars to get there just from regular purchases?
People will spend money just to get points, just to like climb the leaderboard of nothing. It's fucked. Oh,
So
God.
like, level 6 will take you like 3 or 4 years of constant purchases. This is like what it was like $54 for the whole year or something, $49 for the year to get the perks.
But what are the perks of like level, whatever the level is, the top one?
trade-in values?
You're treated like a god because you're told to treat them that way.
Yeah.
But how do they get level god?
By spending
By
money.
buying things.
By buying
But it's not like you hit a certain amount of money and you instantly in. It's like a lottery, isn't it?
It used to be, and then now it's
Right.
become a lottery. Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty
right,
much,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but you still have to be in an upper echelon of carrots, which is just dollar. So horrifying.
Garbage company.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Agreed.
It's so
Hey, speaking of
dystopian.
garbage companies,
Yes,
Xbox
I saw
has,
that coming
delayed
a fucking mile away.
I'm sorry, Ralph. I shouldn't have roped you into that. That was my bad. No, they jumped on Twitter and said that Avowed is moving to February 18th, 2025, so that we can all focus on our backlogs. How considerate.
That's such a bullshit response justification, by the way.
Isn't
like,
it
we all
just?
know the release schedule. It's not packed, man. Like, come on. That is just a cop out. If you want more time, just say you need more time. It's fine. We're okay with that. Just say it.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, we want you guys to play your backlog. No, we don't have a fucking backlog. It's 2024. We want games.
Collectively, I mean, like anyone with a rational mind has reached a point where if a game gets delayed, most people sort of go, probably for the best. You know, people aren't balling their fists in a rage anymore and going, oh, crunch for years. I want to play it now. They sort of go, oh yeah, no, that's probably good because it'll probably not be shit if they delay it. But yeah, this comment was just a little bit too.
It was dumb. It was very dumb.
It's fucking.
I know we're all we're really excited to play our History Untold. So you know,
I've taken the week off.
Huge lineup.
Yeah, man.
There's what is there? There's indie. There's this year for them. There's indie.
Well, indie doesn't have a date, so
there's no
let's.
date. I agree, and I reckon that's going to get pushed because I don't think I don't know if that's even playable at Gamescom.
So the image has mostly it's like World of Warcraft: The War Within, Diablo. They've got Ara, History Untold, Age of Mythology, COD Blop 6, Indie Flight Simulator 2024. Doom.
I mean, I really compartmentalize. Like, for me, Bethesda is Xbox, but Activision is not Xbox.
Yeah,
like, for me, that's how I. It's not fair to think that way, but it's just how I think.
It is. It is. Well, the thing I love is that they sort of go like, oh, all these first party games, And then like the bottom row is just like, oh, these are things coming out in 2025 anyway, so they don't even impact Avowed at all. So we just started making the graphic and realized it was a bit patchy. So shit.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. I hope Avowed's good. I really would love to see Obsidian.
Keep hearing nice things about it. And yeah, Obsidian.
I haven't spoken to anyone that's played it. Has this been playable for anyone yet? I don't think it has. No,
not that I'm aware of.
So
do you not think so?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Obsidian. They put out Grounded last. Pentiment, which was Grounded, Pentiment were both great. They haven't had a miss for a while. So
yeah, but I still think they just need like that critical hit, the thing that everyone talks about.
I feel like this isn't going to be it though. I feel like this is going to be that same sort of thing as the Outer Worlds, which is kind of like a smaller scale, like RPG that some people are like, it's got some cool stuff going on, but it's too small or it's too janky or whatever. You know what I mean? That's where I feel like this is going to land as well.
Yeah. What's your take on that game, by the way?
I enjoyed it. I liked it quite a bit, and like it's not incredible, but like I really liked their writing, that and it delivered on that front. And mechanically, of course, it's simple, and the decision stuff is not great. Whatever else, sure, absolutely. But I just liked rolling around in that world. What about you? Did you not love it?
No, I didn't rate any aspect of it particularly highly. So
which is fair. I mean, I think a lot of people landed on that with that one.
Yeah, I think like the initial kind of like wave of excitement around it is because like, it is aesthetically pleasing and it is that team. It's them making a Fallout type experience. So it's kind of like, yeah, this is awesome. And then just the more time I spent with it, the more I was like, meh.
DLC was really good. If you get a chance to experience the DLC, it's excellent. Yeah, it's actually really worth it. So,
Ralph, I figured you would have hated it purely because it ruined the SEO for Outer Wilds.
I'd spent so much time explaining that over and over again to different people in so many ways. Like in my comment section, they're like, "Why does he keep going on about that shitty Obsidian game?" I'm like, "That's not what I'm talking about. It's a different game." But yes, it was very frustrating.
To answer your question, Ralph, it is not playable at Gamescom. No. There's a theater presentation of Indiana Jones.
Oh, wonderful.
Excellent.
I mean, we still have not seen any actual gameplay of Indiana Jones. That game is supposedly out this year. I mean, come on.
This is what kind of
Space Marine 2 last year. I could play it myself in my house. And Indiana Jones comes out this year. And anyway.
Like they put out that like I can't remember what the event was at this point, but it was that recent extended like 12-minute look at it with the train cutscene and everything. Everyone was like, "Oh, the game's finally looking really good." I'm like, "Is it? That's not a game.
Cutscene. It's just cutscenes. Maker does a good job, but it's a cutscene,
Yeah. Anyway, that's the news.
That was me and Seeing Perfect Dark this year when they're like, "Oh, the game looks really good." I'm like, "What fucking game?
Which game?
Thank you. Oh my god,
that is not real.
Jesus Christ.
Yes,
that is not real. Oh my god, all these people. I got so roasted. Everyone's like, "You fucking hate Xbox." I'm like, no, I like Xbox. It's good, but that trailer was fake. I'm sorry, that's not a real video game at this point. It is all just concept shit. It's gonna get all ripped out and replaced. That is not a real video game.
I said if the game looks anything like that when it comes out, I will eat a fucking hat. It'll be
exactly what I said. Exactly what I said.
Yeah, no.
So we'll see though. The people at whatever studio is making that are just like, we'll prove you wrong. Who even knows who's the initiative? Do they even exist? There's probably some fucking psyop. They don't even exist. The initiative. It's just some like thing that Xbox came up with.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. Let's hit the off topics and then we'll hit the go home button. James, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You still cranking? You still cranking Wind Waker?
Yeah. Great album. Still on that same album though. So.
Yeah. Well, that's
So we're not talking about Zelda.
We're not talking about Zelda.
Okay, I was so confused.
I was also confused.
I was like,
sorry.
Okay.
Not being a Nintendo boy, I forget that Wind Waker probably,
You should. That should be the exchange. Like, you have to play Wind Waker because I'm listening to Wind Waker.
Oh, I don't even have a Switch, mate.
Ooh.
Actually, no, I do have a Switch. I don't know where it is.
That's not my concern.
That's not the problem here.
Very good. All right, who's seen anything, watched anything, heard anything, done anything that they want to share in off topics?
Have you guys already talked about Deadpool and Wolverine?
No, because we haven't been here for a couple weeks.
You haven't been here? Oh, I just have to check in.
Saw Deadpool, Wolverine. I did.
Yep.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Oh, James, for fuck's sake.
Why would I say it? Like, I'm just going to sit here and be like, I didn't like it. Like, no, you don't do that.
Well, okay, so let's just pose like just a general line of questioning to James. Did you watch the other Deadpool movies?
I watched the first one.
Did you enjoy it?
At the time, yes, I did quite a bit.
Okay, so in that case, you might not vibe with this simply because the creative team that made Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2 was brought back for Deadpool and Wolverine. Hence, the DNA share between them is very, very similar.
Mhm.
Which,
Okay.
if you like that kind of stuff, aces, deuces, good times. If you don't, perfect. You can.
But I
see
think
them later.
you don't agree with that because I feel like the Deadpool 1 and 2 had plots, and
True,
that's
true.
helpful in movies.
My
and
counterpoint. Well, you go
Yeah.
first. You go first.
No, and I think that they then, based upon the plot, they were then able to make some jokes, a moderate amount of jokes around the fact they were a superhero movie with different co-stars and cameos and whatever else, and not too many of those either. It was well balanced. The composition was there, whereas with this, it's like, let's just make a thing where we take a sledgehammer to the fourth wall every fucking scene, and let's make sure we set up the joke before we tell it, and then let's make sure we explain it after we tell it so you get it, and then let's make sure we just have a fucking carousel of cameos. To be fair, I liked it. It was fun. It was fun. I had a fun time, right? But I don't want to see it again, and I think it's not as good as 1 and 2. And I think if you actually shaved like 25% of Deadpool off this in terms of like his gags and whatever, this would actually be pretty good. But it's too much, I think. It's too much.
You already established my counterpoint. I was going to say, counterpoint, it was enjoyable chaos.
Yes, I agree with that. It's enjoyable chaos.
Here's the thing. It is about emotionally as shallow as a puddle of mouse piss. But it's probably the most entertaining Marvel film I've watched in like 5 years. So, you know.
True, but then again, that's not saying much.
I know.
It's low bar.
It's not saying much. It's like saying, you know what? This thin gruel is better than the dog shit I ate yesterday.
Jesus.
Pretty harsh. Kevin Feige is no longer going to sponsor this podcast. He was listening and now he's out.
He wasn't going to. Xbox will buy Marvel Studios eventually, so it's fine. And then we can just hate on them both. But yeah, I agree. It's spectacle rather than substance. I personally feel that there's a couple of emotional moments in there that are worth the shit that, you know,
Hugh Jackman.
If you cheated. Hugh Jackman does some great stuff.
He brings it.
I feel like the story that, you know, Deadpool himself is trying to carry through the film is not very engaging. It's depressing because it's not a superhero story. It's just a man who grew sad and pathetic, and you just sort of go,
I mean, my impression was that this was just an excuse for Ryan Reynolds to make a film with Hugh Jackman. But like that was my, and you know, and that may have even that may have been said.
Let's be real. From Hugh Jackman himself, he announced, "I'm never doing Wolverine again," and then Deadpool 1 came out 3 days later, and even he was like, fuck," and it's like, yeah, this kind of needed to happen. At least, if it didn't, there'd be a whole generation of like comic book and movie nerds who are just going to basically die blue balling because they never got to see those two together. So,
yeah.
Tell you what I did rate though, and I'm going to try and say this as spoiler free as possible.
Oh, go for it. It's going to be great.
When they were going through
the thing with the guy,
and then
the other person turned up.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I think you want to.
If you're trying to not spoil this for my sake, please go ahead.
No,
if you are listening to this podcast and you haven't seen the movie and you give a fuck about spoilers, maybe skip ahead. Otherwise, just strap in and.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well.
Yeah.
There's a cameo in this film that I did quite enjoy.
Was it early in the film or later in the film?
Was he in front of a motorcycle?
I think so. I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Thanks, Ralph, for stepping in and fucking separating the children. Jesus. Oh my god.
Just as an open question to people here who saw it in a cinema.
Yes.
Was it that case where everything?
How else would you have seen it?
Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase. People who saw it in a packed cinema. I live in Tasmania, right? We have a little bespoke Art Deco theater. I saw it with like 9 other people. Okay. Please don't track me down, FBI. I didn't fucking download it. I just went to a tiny cinema with nobody in it. But like people who went to big cinemas, was it a case where shit would happen and the whole crowd would go, "Hey, whoa!"
Oh my god!
I thought it would be. but it was dead silence in the cinema.
Really?
That's when I knew it wasn't quite landing as well. But I have seen clips online of people being like, "Whoa!" I have seen that, so it happened.
Mate.
Just my cinema was just dead silence.
That would have been my cinema. I was sitting literally next to a guy who the whole thing he was laughing, and every time something happened, he was like, "Oh my god!"
That would have been so annoying. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Yeah. My mate in the US went to some ridiculous cinema, and apparently people were clapping the whole time. Like every time something happened, people just went, "Yeah!" It was like when a plane lands in America and people clap.
Fucking awful. God, I hate that. I was kind of in the middle. There were a few reactions. The best one was just one thing happened, and a guy right up the back just goes, and it was complete silence.
The
Other than that,
microphone is so good. When you turned away from your microphone, you didn't fucking hear it.
You didn't hear anything.
So once more into my good ear, please.
He just yells out, "Oh shit!" And that was it. It was dead silence. No one else reacted, and it was just this one guy. So good for him.
Good for him. Sometimes that can elevate the film experience. I forget what movie I was watching, but something happened, and like a woman, like an older woman, went off. And everybody just fucking laughed because everyone was thinking it, but she said it.
Love it.
All right, speaking of cinemas, I went and saw Twisters.
Was it good?
Oh yeah,
it was fine. I'm glad I saw it, but I don't think I'd go see it again. It was, I had a good
you seen the
time.
original?
I have, mate, absolutely. Okay.
Do you like
That's
it?
a classic.
So, I'm pretty sure it's in the disc wallet, mate.
Just on that vaguely related subject, I too saw Twister recently because I went to a pinball event on the weekend and they had a Twister pinball machine that had a massive fan on top that blew at you as you played.
That's ridiculous and great.
That's like the 4D experience, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Very, very good stuff. Tangentially related, and it's probably the fourth time I mention it to most people in this place, but I don't care. I like it.
I'll tell you a little secret from Twisters. I'm starting to rate a bit of GP, bit of Glenn Powell.
Yeah, he's saying the right things.
Yeah.
Is it you and like the rest of the internet is just sort of going, this guy's pretty fucking cool, isn't he?
No idea.
He's just trying to be Tom. He's just trying to be Tom Cruise. He's just trying to say the same things, channel the same energy, and it's like
we could do with a new Tom Cruise. So...
I was going to say we're kind of due for a new Tom Cruise. And
we've been due a new one.
Isn't Tom Cruise doing a stunt for the end of the Olympics that might get us killed?
Yeah.
So
Glenn Powell
reminds
me of Brad Pitt.
Could you imagine?
No, that is unironically, I believe, his goal. He wants to do that. Like
Tom Cruise immolates himself in like the Olympic flame, and that's the end of it.
What other way
in the next 4 years
to die? Like sitting in his bed, fucking watching Jeopardy? No, man, he's gonna go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, he's not gonna choke to death on a hogie while sitting on the toilet, is he? He's gonna be like. He's going to be spread across like an entire state.
And then he can go and meet his Scientology god. Whatever it is. He can get on board the space. Get on board the spaceship.
We've just lost another prospective sponsor.
God damn it. They pay so well.
Xenu's never going to get on the pod now.
All right, very, very quickly, finished Presumed Innocent. Really loved it. Probably one of the best shows I've seen in quite some time. Highly recommended.
What's that on?
Apple TV. Nice. Speaking of Apple TV, I also watched Dark Matter, which has anyone seen that or heard of it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. I've Googled it and now I'm being explained what Dark Matter is.
Presumed Innocent is, yeah.
Sorry.
Gyllenhaal.
Dark Matter is, don't remember. I think it's a nobody. Actually, no, it's somebody. It's the Australian dude, Joel Edgerton. Is he Australian?
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah,
You're telling me called him a nobody?
No, he was. I was thinking of a different character. Yeah, so he's and basically something happens and then he goes exploring through different worlds. Let's put it that way.
Sure. It looks okay.
It was actually pretty good. Probably a little bit dragged out. It had 9 eps, and I reckon it could have been done in. Could have been done in 8, but 6 would have been okay.
I started watching Andor.
Oh, good man.
Right. Where are you at with it?
Halfway through Andor.
Okay. How are you feeling?
I cannot believe that they made a good Star Wars.
Yes.
Cannot believe
Fucking right.
I'm like, wait, what is this? I don't understand. Every episode, I'm like, wait, what? That was amazing. What is
The
going
show
on
keeps
here?
cooking.
Do you mean
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm at the halfway point where he gets he gets imprisoned unfairly. Okay, right.
Oh.
Okay, sorry, I won't spoil it, but whatever. Anyway, whatever.
La la
So,
la la la.
okay, point is that's the point. I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like I would have liked to have seen season 1 wrap before that time, and then I don't know, whatever. Maybe there's like a reason why this needs to keep going like that, but yeah.
You just wait.
All right. I know. I know there's a cameo. I know that there's a comedian actor who appears in the future and whatever else, and it's meant to be a great performance.
Is it Joe Dirt?
Excuse me, but
Is it Joe Dirt? Fuck off.
Joe Dirt, yeah. But it's honestly
David Spade, sorry, not Joe Dirt. Well, same thing.
unbelievable how
David
good
Spade.
it is, and I
It's
truly
amazing.
cannot believe how well written it is, how well shot it is, how everything about it is like, what if Star Wars was for grown-ups instead of for whatever the fuck it is now? Do you know what I mean? No, I mean, unironic. Like even like Star Wars, it's kind of fun. It's still just sort of basically for like kids or teenagers or whatever. Whereas this is like actually for adults.
It's
So
so
I've
good.
alienated the Warhammer crew and audience. You're just destroying the Star Wars dudes. Is there any?
Fine,
Do we just want to piss on like the Lord of the Rings?
Let's start talking about animes that we don't like.
Yeah,
Let's do
here we
that.
go.
Right?
fuck.
My Hero Academia wrapped and everyone hates the finale. Anyway, moving on. Off topic. Obviously, we didn't get to play any co-op together, Ralph. But I also have Space Marine the board game, which is for 2 players. So I mean, that's always an option.
That's nice.
Yeah, no, we got
a nice box.
Yeah, it is quite a nice box. It actually comes with a little Lieutenant Titus in there that I've got to put together and paint. And
very
I
nice.
figured how to do that. So it's a long wait to September, but we can keep ourselves very entertained.
Until then. Yep.
Just got to play it like 87 times. Well, it says it takes roughly 30 minutes, so got to play it like 8 million times. And then we'll be there.
Yep.
James, you watch anything?
Still just going with Gundam Zeta. I'm in the final act now. It's incredible. I can't wait to report back in once I've seen the Tears of Time. That's all.
All right.
What? How long ago was Gundam Zeta? Was that like
1982?
Oh Jesus!
I'm going through the series chronologically.
I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this is like a 2001 series, but damn, okay, fair enough. God, they were cooking back then. Jesus,
they were. They really were. This thing is out of control good. I can't believe
you did that Twitter post the other day about one of the characters, and I looked it up and went, oh, this looks pretty cool. And then I didn't.
Yeah,
look at the
that was
year,
Paptimus. We don't have time for this anyway. Let's move on.
Disengage.
All right.
Disengage.
Yeah.
Ralph, the hot seat is yours. 2000s film of the week.
2000s film of the week. All right, so I got to read the synopsis.
Yeah. And then we're going to try to guess it.
Okay, here we go. All right, cool. Ready? Here. This is it. This is an old favorite. Okay. If we don't get this first one, then we've got to back up. Okay, ready. This is all right. So this character goes to Amsterdam after a little incident involving 2 irritating kids and a bunch of aggressive dolphins. There he meets up with his old friend, but a mysterious killer starts killing some of Amsterdam's finest. Can't say what it is, because otherwise it'll give it away. And his friend is mistaken for the extremely gay murderer. Character must enter the industry again to find the real murderer and kill his friend's name.
Oh,
Hands up. Yep.
Yeah, it clicked right towards
as
the
soon
end.
as it re-enters the industry. Yeah, okay.
Well, go on. What have you got?
No, I want other people. I want other people to see if they've clicked because, like, clearly Adam and I have gone, yeah. No.
Okay, all right.
So lead with the starring actor, and then they can try and guess again. But I know.
Oh, but if I say the starring actor, it's immediately over.
Yeah, because he's done like 8 movies, and most of them are same.
And he's fallen off extraordinarily hard since then. Like extraordinarily hard.
All right. Would you want me just to say the answer then?
Well, let's say that he is a working gentleman. Let's put it that way. And he makes he makes a trip. He makes a trip overseas. He's from America, but he travels overseas.
It's not.
It is.
No.
Go.
No way.
Go on, Zach. Go on.
It's not Juice Bigelow, is it?
Yes, it is.
He's done it.
Well, number 2.
Which one?
Two.
Number 2, European Juice Bigelow.
Because I actually watched Juice Bigelow recently, And that's it. But I've never seen the second one because I was like, well, no, thank you. But I remember looking at it.
Why would you go back?
No one has seen the second one.
They went back to that, Will.
Rob Snyder. I mean, man, talk about
Schneider.
like those Hollywood, those actors, the comedy actors that just fell off super hard. No, I think he's like a hard, like he's a hardcore conservative now. I think he's all out there.
Yeah, that's the last I heard. Is that like it's a horrible thing when you go, oh, I wonder what that guy.
He was
up
touring.
to. It's like political views.
He's
touring, yeah, sure.
He toured Australia.
Oh, did he really?
He did a comedy show, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Oh, wow.
Oh,
okay,
my days.
There you go.
That was an excellent pull. Nice work, Ralph. That's
good.
good.
Very much.
That synopsis, when you remove the key terms from it, sounds extremely gay murderous.
Yeah, that's right.
Where did that rank on IMDb's top 100?
That was actually
yeah.
I think I got that on a list of worst movies of the 2000s from this site called Flickr Chart, and it was number 51 on that.
I love how you started with the top 100 2000s movies.
Yep, and I was like,
just
no,
way off the reservation.
Go way worse than this. But the funniest one, I found another list that was like worst movies, the IMDb list for worst movie of 2000, and it has Bruno as the number 3 worst movie of the 2000s.
Oh, 2000.
Man, I can't tell if you're offended by this or agreeing with this.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't know how well that has aged. Because I know that there's been a big rereading of Sacha Baron Cohen's work.
Oh yes,
right. And so I don't know, but I don't know if it's like homophobic or if it's in good fun. I honestly don't know. I remember laughing a lot back in the day, but those obviously were different times than they are now. But yeah, I still that's it's now.
IMDb hates Bruno.
IMDb says it's the 3rd worst film of the 2000s. The worst being Punisher Warzone.
Oh, fair call. Fucking dreadful.
Interesting.
Pearl Harbor is the 5th worst.
Interesting.
Fair.
Okay.
Freddy Got Fingered is the 6th.
Also fair.
Wow. What? So sorry. So the top 3 is Punisher. Number 3 is Bruno. What's number 2?
Punisher, and then it's a movie called Giggly or Jiggly.
Oh yeah.
Larry Jiggly is a crime boss to kidnap the brother of a prominent district attorney. A beautiful woman known only as Ricky is sent to stay with him to make sure he doesn't mess up the job.
Yeah.
Stars Ben Affleck. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. And that's J-Lo. I wonder if this is where they met.
It's so bad.
Okay.
It's so fucking bad.
IMDb's got it a 2.6 out of 10 after 51,000 votes. That thing must be hot dog shit.
It's fucking terrible.
All right. I got a Rob Schneider question without notice for you. What's your favorite Rob Schneider film?
I mean, I only think honestly,
does
I
he
really
have to be
believe
in a starring role?
Correct. That's my first
okay.
question.
Let's clarify. Either a Rob Schneider film or a character that he plays in a different film.
Oh well,
you can do it.
I only know him as the guy from Happy Gilmore. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's honestly the best contribution he's made to comedy. So, I'm gonna go with that. Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
James,
it's the correct choice.
I'm just looking through his library, and I think the only one of these I've seen is Happy Gilmore.
Interesting.
So I guess that.
You haven't seen Billy Madison?
No.
Bruh. Please.
Should I?
Oh my God. Are you for real?
Well,
that is legitimately legendary.
This is James, though.
Well.
Oh, fuck off.
I think everyone should see Billy Madison. It's important.
Okay. I agree.
I
agree.
It's part of the canon. It's part of the canon, okay?
It is. As far as Rob Schneider, God, they're making a fucking sequel, aren't they? As far as I'm concerned, the only film of Rob Schneider's that I actually kind of endorse, and it's not because I enjoy it, it's just simply The Animal, because Australian Michael Keaton got into the film.
Sure, Michael Keaton. Yep.
And I was like, hey, that's good on you, mate. Cool.
Yep.
I reckon I would go with his character from Big Daddy, where he's the chef. Not the chef, he's like the delivery driver chef guy.
Hip Hop Anonymous?
Yeah.
Hip
Hop Anonymous.
Yeah. And then he's like, what did he say? Like, damn you give him all the easy ones or something.
That's right.
That is a good scene. That's a good scene.
Didn't he play a really racist caricature in Don't Mess with the Zohan?
Oh,
sounds about right.
Like Rob Schneider was supposed to be Middle Eastern or something. He was like literally trying to be a terrorist, and like the whole time I'm just there going,
No thanks.
I mean, that film is definitely something these days.
I like the visual foot gags, and that's about it. Like kicking somebody with both feet at once. Just
visual foot gags.
What? Tarantino shit right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Ash, you strike me as the kind of bloke who would catch a fish between his ass cheeks. So,
you got to do what you can to survive in Tasmania, my friend.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Well Played. Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah,
Jesus.
That's the perfect time to sign off. That's it.
All right, thanks, Ralph, for joining us. Been a pleasure to have you here again. Hope you enjoyed your time.
I did. Always a pleasure.
Not a privilege.
Thanks for sharing it sparingly with us.
Yes.
You three, nice to see you.
Yeah, whatever.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
All right. Thank you to everyone for listening to this episode of the WellPlayed DLC podcast. Check out the content on the website. You know where it is. Check out Ralph. You know where he is. And have a great weekend. Thank you.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Yeah.
You know where we are.